Cruising on here in Locked On UCLA, we're talking Nico Iamaleava's struggles. A week removed from missing the Ohio State game with a concussion. There are many thoughts that were swirling, whether it was my brain, what I was being told, and what other people were thinking with Nico's all of a sudden inability to play against Ohio State. We're not really going to touch on that. That's just something you might think at home, but he was unable to play, had concussion symptoms that kind of came out after the Nebraska game that materialized. Now, came back, was practicing throughout the week, was cleared to play, and is against Washington, a team that was down quite a few starters, especially offensively, a defensive backfield, a secondary that was prepared for UCLA to try and go vertical. It's a tough team to go past them. And then they're a little more physical than UCLA's up front, forcing Nico to scramble and do everything he could to make sure his helmet didn't pop off time and time again. And yet, even when he was kept upright, even when the play call was right, Nico kind of looked skittish, and the inaccuracy was showing its ugly head again. Nico had 16 completions in this game on 26 passes. Demond Williams Jr., the young quarterback over at Washington, it's not like he had a fantastic game. Yes, 213 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He had one more completion than Nico on the same amount of attempts. Again, Demond Williams Jr., 17 for 26, had 213 yards on 8 yards per completion. Nico, 16 completions on 26 attempts, had 69 yards. That averaged less than 3 yards per completion. Nico averaged 3 yards per carry, which is only an okay amount, especially what he's done this year running the football. And his completions weren't going anywhere. And some of the misses he had, yes, he had a huge drop from Titus Aguilar, but some of those other throws, some of those other reads he had versus Washington in this game were somewhat puzzling. But yes, some of the times he was scrambling for his life. The athleticism is there. The ability to put a dart on a receiver is there. The problem is he doesn't always have the receivers who can go up and win the ball in the air for an NFL-like catch. He doesn't fully have the NFL skills, the full superstar-like skills to put it on a dot to give those guys a better chance at catching the ball. And then there's some throws where it's like, okay, this is more of a college football-like play. Let's get this guy open over the middle, find him wide open, and just throw it right down to him. And Nico, again, sails it sometimes when running to his right, overthrows it, can't seemingly throw it over the middle, and this time did cough up the football. And you're like, you're not going to beat Washington when you can't win the turnover battle, when you're turning it over and over again. And I know Nico had nothing to do with the fake field goal turned into a touchdown, but then Luke Duncan came in, against the Washington backups with a big, big deficit on the scoreboard, but he looked a lot better. 5 of 11, pushed the ball vertical. I think, what was it, a 37-yard touchdown pass to Mikey Matthews, averaged about 7.5 yards per completion, and despite him being a lot less athletic, having not thrown too many successful passes against Ohio State the week before in Columbus, Luke Duncan, he looked a little bit better than Nico before Nico went out injured. And you're like, man, I wonder if Nico can truly develop as a pocket passer. He can zip the ball in ways nobody can. He can escape sacks unlike anybody I've ever seen in some regards. Now, yes, there are some mobile quarterbacks. You can think Lamar Jackson. You can see Jalen Hurts. A lot of mobile quarterbacks right now have the escapability like a Patrick Mahomes. The problem is Nico has very poor accuracy. The ability to read and dissect a defense is not there. Demond Williams Jr. was not slicing up the UCLA defense on every time, but there were plays where the Huskies decided to go vertical and they could complete it. Where UCLA with Nico is not making that same play. And I appreciate all the heart he's put in, evading the tackles, doing everything he can to literally not get sacked and have his helmet cracked again and again. Because the O-line was not having it today. It's not been having it all season. The UCLA running game sometimes relies on the legs of Nico Iamaleava. And then here they are, Nico getting cracked again and again and again. You're like, man, But something's wrong when you complete 16 passes for about 2.5 yards per completion. Some of that is the offense, some of that is the Huskies dominating. And there were quite a few passes down the field that he could not go and be successful with. And that's some of the warning signs all those Tennessee fans, all those Tennessee haters were sharing with us. You're going to see with Nico. And they're rearing their ugly head. And we've seen that when UCLA was losing big to UNLV, sometimes to New Mexico. And now during this losing streak, when Nico has played, there have been some moments where like, man, in the Nebraska game, UCLA played much better, but it never felt like they were going to win that game, even though it was a close score. In this game, UCLA struggled, kind of shot themselves in the foot, had the ball in Washington territory with fourth down, but never felt like UCLA was going to move the ball. Either every read was poor, everything that was called by Jerry Neuheisel was clogged up, or it just wasn't working. Nothing was working. And it's like, wait a minute, we're starting to see the limitations of an Nico. Do we want Nico to come back? That's a whole nother discussion. That's another episode coming in the offseason. But man, oh man, yes. Is Nico clearly like the best player? Yes. Does he look like a 5-star athlete? Absolutely. Can he make throws on a dime in places where some of these receivers aren't seeing from some of the best players? Are the Joey Aguilar numbers much better than Nico? Yes. Is he having a lot more success, team and individual? Absolutely. Who got the better end of the deal? Joey Aguilar. Who is the better fit for UCLA? It would be Nico over Aguilar, I think. But after seeing a couple of passes from Luke Duncan against what I presume to be the Washington backups, I would think, yes, okay, it looked better, but I can't necessarily give Luke all the credit where Nico is coming up against a design game plan against him in this game, where fourth and short, third and short, read option, Nico's leaking out. It's not like that Penn State game that got James Franklin fired, basically, where he ran for so many yards. Everybody's game plan against that. Jerry Neuheisel can't find the opening guy in his play calling sheet. And when he does, Nico's not seeing it or he's not even hitting him. It's just check down after check down after check down where you're like, what are we doing offensively? Some of which receivers can't get open. So that's the talent and the inability to go make a tough catch. Can't help yourself when you're having, 2 or 3 fumbles in this game. UCLA had a fumble from Nico, had a fumble from Mikey Matthews, technically one from Cash Peterman on the flip behind, and then Jameer Benjamin recovered one for UCLA, leading that touchdown. But when your receiver's fumbling, when Nico's fumbling, that really killed the game. And that shifted the momentum in a game that I think could have, in a different world, been closer than 48-14. I'm not going to say UCLA could have beat Washington, but Nico wasn't helping himself out. The receivers weren't helping himself out. The O-line wasn't. Everything wasn't clicking. And Jerry Neuheisel, I think, is starting to hit that, not necessarily rookie wall, but after the early sensational success, it's come to a quick stop, a quick halt. Doesn't mean he will never have success. Nico, the Jerry Neuheisels of the world. But I do think in one case, maybe Jerry needs to go blossom elsewhere, have the highs and lows of play calling, and then come back to UCLA, where it can be that future head coach forever, that future offensive coordinator that eventually takes over and has a heart for UCLA blue and gold if he wants to learn everything that it takes to be a play caller, I think. For Nico, he's slowly reaching his ceiling. The footwork isn't always there. The accuracy of hitting the receivers down the field isn't always there. And sometimes the playmaking isn't there. Now, were there a lot of plays where he evaded like 3 tackles just to get a yard? Yes, that is 100% there. But he's certainly not capable of hitting a guy over the middle in stride for a touchdown pass. It's really not. Luke Duncan right down the middle, Mikey Matthews touchdown. You're like, dude, why can't we do that more often? Well, when you're down 40 and you're playing the backups, it's a different story. But man, I hate to say it, but there were times in just a few throws, Luke looked a little more comfortable than Nico ever was. And I wonder what that's going to mean for the next game against USC and what that's going to mean for Nico's future, whether he goes calling other places, which I've heard, or if he sticks around to see which UCLA head coach might unlock his game to the next level while keeping him home in SoCal. All fascinating questions and debates we'll have on future Locked On UCLA episodes. Hands up, Bruins fans. A clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.